Several years later, the Marquess is confined to the asylum for the insane at Charenton, overseen by the enlightened Abbé de Colmar. The Marquess has been publishing his work through laundress Madeleine Medley Clark, who smuggles manuscripts through an anonymous horseman to a publisher. The Marquess' latest work, Justin, is published on the black market to great success. Emperor Napoleon I Bonaparte orders all copies of the book to be torched and the author shoot, but his advisor Delben tempers this contentious idea with one of his own. Send Hellenist Dr. Royer Collard to assess Charenton and silence the Marquess. Meanwhile, the Abbey teaches Madeleine to read and write while they resist their growing mutual attraction of love and romance. Madeleine reads the Marquess de Sade's stories to her fellow workers, whilst Madeleine is fascinated with the Marquess de Sade. She remains reluctant to give in to his advances. The Abbé and Marquess converse on the Marquess' inappropriate advances on young women. Royer Collard arrives informing the Abbé that the Marquess' therapeutic writings have been distributed for public consumption. He presents the Abbé with the ultimatum of silencing the Marquess or Charenton will be shut down by order of the Imperial. The Abbé rejects Royer Collard's offer of several aggressive archaic treatments and asks to speak with the Marquess himself, who promptly swears obedience. Royer Collard arrives informing the Abbé that the Marquess' therapeutic writings have been distributed. Royer Collard takes his leave for the time being and travels to the Pantomont convenient in Paris to return his promised bride. The underage orphan Simone, they are given a rundown chateau by the Emperor with a handsome young architect Brioux on hand for its renovation on their wedding night. Royer Collard violently rapes her and afterward keeps her as a virtual prisoner in their home. The hasty marriage incites much gossip at the asylum, prompting the Marquess to write a phrase to be performed at a public exhibition, which Royer Collard and Simone attend. The audacious play, a parody of the good doctor's own misogynist domination of his virginal bride, is titled The Crime of Love. The performance is interrupted when the inmate Boychan molestates Madeleine off stage, prompting her to hit him in the face with an iron. The Abbé is seen publicly comforting Madeleine. Royer Collard shuts down the public theatre and demands that the abbé do more to control the Marquis, or he will inform the ministry that the inmates are running the asylum. Infuriated, the abbé confiscates the Marquis' quills and ink. The Marquis' wife visits him and he takes out his frustration at not being able to write on her. She retaliates by asking a surprised royal coloured that the Marquis be entombed forever. Infuriated, the abbé confiscates the Marquis' quills and ink. The Marquis' wife visits him and he takes out his attention. They discuss that the ill-gotten gains from the Marquis's book could be used to effect his salvation. In other words, provide forms of restraint. The lack of writing implements results in more subversive behavior from the Marquis, including a story written in wine on bedsheets and in blood on clothing. This results in further deprivation, eventually leaving the Marquis naked in an empty cell. Charlotte, one of the maids, reveals that Madeleine has been helping the Marquis. Madeleine is wiped on the order of Royal Collard until the abbé stops him by offering himself instead. The abbé decides that Madeleine must be sent away. That night, she visits his chamber to beg him to reconsider sending her away and confesses her love for him, in the process prompting him to kiss her passionately. They abruptly break away at the realization of what they are doing. Madeleine runs off and Charlotte catches the abbé calling after her. Meanwhile, Simone purchases a copy of Justin, seduces Preux, and the young lovers run off to England together. She leaves behind a letter explaining her actions and her copy of Justin. Upon finding this, Royal Collard refocuses attention upon the Marquis as the source of his troubles and embarks upon a quest for revenge by having him tortured. About to be sent away from Charenton for her role in assisting the Marquis, Madeleine begs a lost story from him, which is to be relayed to her through the asylum patients. She leaves behind a letter explaining her actions and her copy of Justin. Bochen, the inmate at the end of the rally, is excited by the story, breaks out of his cell and attacks Madeleine. Royal Collard hears Madeleine's screams but chooses to ignore them, and she is killed by Bochen. The asylum is set afire by the Pharaonic Dauphin, and the inmates break out of their cells. Madeleine's body is found in the laundry ward by her blind mother and the abbé. The abbé is devastated by Madeleine's death, and Bochen is captured and imprisoned inside an iron maiden. The abbé blames the Marquis for Madeleine's death and confronts him. The Marquis claims he had been with Madeleine in every way imaginable, only to be told she had died a virgin, provoking and uncharacteristically emotional outpouring of grief. The abbé has the Marquis' tongue cut out as punishment for Madeleine's death, but is stricken with remorse and wipes himself. The abbé then has a dream in which Madeleine returns to life and they have a romance, but ultimately it ends with him holding her corpse. The Marquis' health declines severely, but he remains reserved as ever, decorating his dungeon with a story using his faces as ink. As the Marquis lies dying, the abbé reads him the last rites and offers him a crucifix to kiss. The Marquis definitely swallows the crucifix and chokes to death on it. A year later, the new abbé arrives at Charenton and is given then grand tour by Royal Collard. During the tour, they meet the maid Charlotte, and through the exchange between herself, the asylum has been converted into a print shop with the inmates as its staff. The books being printed are the works of the Marquis de Sade. At the end of the tour, the new abbé meets his predecessor, who resides in the Marquis' old cell. Yearning to write, he begs paper and a quill from a new abbé and tries to strangle Royal Collard when he ventures to close the peephole. The abbé is ordered off by Royal Collard before he can hear and more from his predecessors. However, the peephole opens and Madeleine's mother thrusts paper, quill, and ink through. The abbé begins to scribble furiously, with the Marquis providing the narration.